Alrighty, choking on my kombucha.
He's choking on his kombucha. I fucking hate kombucha so much.
It's so
the worst thing about Seattle.
I also can't stand it.
I love vinegar.
Everyone in Seattle is like, I need the booch.
It's good.
I like
acid.
I am awful. I like kombucha too. I'm a freak. I don't know. I like any food really.
Any
That's
food?
something to aspire to.
I like almost any food. It's pretty rare that I don't like something, to be honest.
Okay. You ever had sea urchin?
Yeah, I love uni.
Are you serious? Oh my God.
Expensive
So
though, because
nasty.
the war in Ukraine is like jacking up the prices.
Oh, is it harvested in like the Black Sea or something?
Yeah, so Russia is exporting less because they have more resources towards the war.
Oh.
So the sea urchin supply has gone down since the war. So like the prices have actually like doubled.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I would never guessed.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
seafood so much.
Yeah, me too. But sea urchin, that's where I draw the line. So, I'm impressed at your boldness.
I think swordfish bone marrow shot is where I draw the line. I couldn't even stomach that one. That
I've had
was
swordfish.
crazy.
I've never had swordfish marrow, but that sounds good.
I
Marrow is
haven't had
usually
that
good,
before,
so-
but
It smells
sounds
crazy.
From what I've heard,
insane.
it just tastes like salt water.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. It's like caviar.
Isn't there like the fermented shark that tastes like piss or something?
You know, that's a beautiful thing that maybe I'll draw the line at.
Oh,
There you
there's a vomit fruit that smells really bad, but apparently
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was wondering if you'd had durian. I'm pretty sure that's the one.
No. Durian,
I've not had durian. I would try
love,
durian once.
I love durian, but that's not vomit fruit. Vomit fruit is like a even crazier smell. Although durian has a nutty smell.
I feel like papaya has a bit of a vomity smell to it. I never touched that. Unless it's like the canned stuff. I can do that, but raw papaya. Ugh.
We should be having a fruit discussion during the podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Magic Mirror Podcast. I'm your host, as usual, Khan the Trinket Mage, and with me is my co-host, 33 Elk.
Hello.
Additionally, we have our other co-host, Salubrious Snail,
Hello, hello.
and this week, special guest, Tierzoo.
Hello, friends.
We're going to be calling him Patrick for the rest of this video.
Perfect.
Yeah, so we have a pretty fun topic today. We're going to be talking about removal in Commander, and, well, I mean, mostly that. That's like our main topic. Removal in Commander. We'll talk about board wipes versus spot removal, I guess like flexibility versus efficiency, a few things like that. But before we do all that, Patrick, why don't you tell us, who are you?
Sure. Hi, everybody. So I run a channel called Tierzoo. I describe it as wildlife ecology and evolutionary biology through the lens of gaming. So if you like video games or really any sort of game and you're interested in learning about animals, you probably like it. So give it a try. Other than that, yeah, I'm a huge fan of basically all games, but Magic the Gathering is certainly one of my like weekly indulgences. So yeah, excited to be here and chat about card games.
Is there anyone who doesn't know who you are but knows who we are? I'm genuinely curious in the comments.
I would be curious too to see what the Venn diagram looks like, but I don't think I have like a super Magic the Gathering focused like fan base. If I were to guess my top like games that people play who watch my videos, I would probably guess like RuneScape and Super Smash Brothers and maybe Overwatch. But card games, I mean, it's one of my core interests, but I don't think I'd talk about it. I don't make that many like references to it in my videos.
Did you have like one or two formative games that kind of pushed you to where you are now? Because I know a lot of people started out with like a specific game when they were a teenager or something.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, in my case, definitely RuneScape and Smash Bros. RuneScape, probably more than anything else. That was like the game that I got into when I was like a fourth grader. And then, yeah, just like really like got super, super invested into it. The economy of it, the training, like it's a really grindy game where you have to put in a lot of effort to make any headway at all.
Oh, yeah.
So that became like my second life where it's like, if anything bad happened to me in that game, I would be down for the, like in real life, I'd be moping around, sad for the rest of the week. I got killed or something, but yeah.
Oh, for sure.
How long have you been playing Magic?
When I was in high school, I was a really big Yu-Gi-Oh fan. And eventually one of my buddies was like, well, you should try Magic. I'll give you a dual deck. He bought a dual deck. It was the Knights versus Dragons dual deck. And he gave me the Knights and he gave one of my other friends the Dragons. And we just would go back and forth with it. And I thought that was a ton of fun. And so that's kind of what got me into it. And I think I was starting to get into Magic the Gathering right around the time that Yu-Gi-Oh! Power Creep was starting to basically like escape orbit and become a whole separate universe. So Magic ended up looking more like the card game that I grew up playing, which was Yu-Gi-Oh! Than Yu-Gi-Oh! Does now. So that's kind of what kept me around. But I played on and off through college. Like I would like save up quarters to go like pay for entry fees to drafts and standard events and stuff in college. And then during COVID, that's when I got into EDH and started playing Commander. And that's been where most of my gameplay is now is Commander. And then also when I get the chance, I'll still do a draft. But my friends don't really like drafting as much, which is disappointing. But it's still my favorite, but it's not the one I get to play the most.
Speaking of EDH, just really quickly to give a litmus to the audience of what kind of Magic player you are, do you have like a favorite deck or two you want to mention really quick? Just
For sure.
Like show.
The one that I like playing the most is probably Ragavan. I play just a mono red.
Oh, really? Whoa.
Yeah, I play mono red, good stuff.
Ooh, that's
sort
good.
of treasure sub theme, thieving sub theme. But really, it's just sort of like a good stuff deck that I just really like. I like decks that you can get your commander and play pretty quickly. So I usually keep it to like 3 mana or less for the commander. And then, yeah, just kind of play from there. The commander itself doesn't have to do that much unique things as long as it provides some sort of extra value early on. That's about all I'll need from it. So I really don't build like super like the commander is the core of the deck. Without the commander, the deck doesn't work at all. I kind of just like to play good stuff and then have the commander be a little resource that I can use. But one other deck that I like, which is exactly the opposite, where it's like if that's not in play, I'm probably not doing anything. I have a deck that's based on Indoraptor, the perfect hybrid, which is all about dealing a bunch of damage and then summoning Indoraptor. And if you've done a lot of damage that turn, it comes in as like this massive creature. It'll be like a 15, 13 creature with menace, and then every time it's dealt damage, you deal that much damage to one opponent at random. So that tends to really get the game going, and it's one of those really fun commanders where sometimes people will deliberately activate it, like deliberately trigger it in the hope that it picks on somebody else, and it's always just so fun rolling the dice and seeing, oh, it's you this time. Sorry, oh, you only have one creature in play. Either you're going to sacrifice that or you're taking 28 to the face or whatever. It's a good time.
I love that kind of commander that makes itself extremely present and extremely noticeable.
Yeah, everyone's paying attention to it. It tends to eat a lot of removal, so I tend to play a lot of like hexproof instants and stuff. But yeah, if I ever am shields down, it tends to eat a Path to Exile or Beast Within or whatever.
Wow, that's a perfect segue into our topic about removal, except for the fact that real quick, we have to thank this week's sponsor.
I was wondering when you get to that.
It's a better flow to have the follow-up questions after introducing Tierzoo.
I think so, right? Anyway, this podcast is sponsored by Laughing Dragon, and they're putting on a really cool event, LDXP Tacoma, or Command Fest Tacoma, which we will be at. Sorry, we as in not Tierzoo.
Tierzoo could be if he wants to be.
Maybe they'll invite me sometime.
I mean, you could. Sorry, you could. I didn't want to say that you're going to be at an event if you're not going to be there. But it's Command Fest Tacoma. They got tons of awesome stuff there. They got Beyond Magic, Warhammer, there's going to be Flesh and Blood, there's going to be Riftbound, all sorts of cool, fun, different games and stuff. We'll be there playing in some events, playing some Commander, testing out new decks, doing cool stuff. So click the link below if you want to check out that event. Thanks to Laughing Dragon for sponsoring the podcast. So, removal in Commander. You guys play any of it?
Nah, no need.
If you don't run any removal, it gives you more room for like big dinosaurs and stuff, and then your opponents can worry about removing things,
That's what I'm saying.
In my play group, I was kind of the guy who started running more removal, and then everyone else had to start doing it too. Like before that, it was like, it was a very casual group, and then I showed up and started playing, and everyone's like, oh, we're taking it serious now, huh? Okay, now we're gonna start putting in all these ruin your day type cards. So
that's funny because I did the opposite with my play group. Nobody played removal, and I said, okay, I'm going to play no removal, all threats. And I built mono green Omnath and just completely crushed people. And it's like either you play a board wipe or you lose. And so I just did the opposite of that.
Create the best possible version of no removal commander so other people have to run removal.
Yes, exactly. Omnath Lucas Amanda is a good one for that.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, what Alex just said about like other people needing to play removal, I think that kind of surmises my entire thoughts on removal, is that the best kind of removal is other people's removal, removing someone else's thing. You don't want to be the guy who plays the lot of removal at the table. What you want to be is the guy, like one of your opponents plays, some big threat. Like when you're the guy who plays a lot of removal, everyone looks at you. Everyone's like, you gonna do something about this? Okay. We're all seeing this, right? Someone's got to deal with this. it's got to be you. It's like when you're the only blue player and someone plays a big spell. You're like, oh, are you going to counter it? Obviously, you have to, right? What are you doing? You're just going to let that resolve? You don't want to be that guy, right? If everyone's looking at you, like, that's not fair.
But this isn't on camera. For the audience, we have webcams on, but none of it's going to be the video.
Put mine in the video.
I love the vision of like, oh, someone removes something else you wanted to remove, and then you just like 0 for 2'd. Like that feels really good. Yeah. On the other hand, you can't really like control your opponents that well most of the time. So like it's a little bit rough. And I do like to have like some amount of answers.
So here's the big question. Have you ever tried the no spot removal all board wipes idea for a deck? So here's the pitch, right? Path to Exile is going to get rid of 1 creature. That's 1 creature for 1 card. That's fine in 1v1, but like in multiplayer, it's not very good. But instead, if you just played, what's the one that exiles all creatures and then gives you a dude? Sunfall. If you play Sunfall in your deck, well, now you path to exiled every creature, right? So you basically like super pathed, and that's just way better card advantage. And if you're a proactive deck and your deck is doing things, then you don't need removal, right? Because your deck is already winning. So you only cast the board wipes when you're losing anyway. So you're not actually losing anything.
I feel like board wipe tribal is a recipe for having the game go 5 hours. And that's basically all you do. Sit there rebuilding the board.
Not board wipe tribal, but having no spot removal and only playing board wipes. Not that you're playing 15 board wipes, but instead of playing 2 board wipes, 5 spot removal, you just go 7 board wipes. Maybe that's still board wipe tribal?
It's kind of
past
know. 5.
A little.
Okay, see, my thing with board wipes is I think there is a power in being able to look at somebody's stupid like 5/5 6/6 creature and go, I don't care about that. And if you're the board wipe player, you can't do that. You're like, oh, I can't handle anything on my board. Ugh, get it all out of here. Get it out of here. Whereas if you just run the spot removal, you just remove the stuff you care about, and then the rest can hang out, and that's okay.
True. I feel like also like unless you have an instant speed board wipe, which I mean, there's a reason that Cyclonic Rift is a game changer. Like you're basically only doing that on your turn. Whereas like removal, you play on your opponent's turn, right? And then you untap, and then you go crazy now that they're wide open. Their key defensive thing is not a threat anymore.
To be clear, this is not something I do in my deck building. I just wanted to put that point out there for the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think the people who argue for like play all board wipes because then you get like more cards for your card, which is like what Commander's all about, right? I think this kind of thinking really fails to understand sometimes that sometimes a card is worth more than 1 card. Like if you play a Coastal Piracy in an evasion heavy deck, like Spirits, for instance, you have like 15 flyers in play, and they're just a bunch of dinky 1/1s that don't really do that much. If they play a Coastal Piracy, that Coastal Piracy is 15 cards if you don't blow it up right away, maybe even more. So this is the instance where spot removals actually like beats out any other form of removal, in my opinion, where you're able to just like pithing needle like the exact thing that keeps the deck glued together and just explode the entire game plan from there, because everything is like synergistic with one another in most decks. So being able to just pick off one piece of it is just a way to topple the entire house of cards.
Yeah, it's true. I feel like I don't play a lot of removal in the decks where the color of the deck doesn't really lend itself to that. Like, for example, I'm playing Ragavan. Like Ragavan, like mono red, doesn't really have a ton of options against enchantments. And I feel like that's oftentimes the core threat, like what you're just saying with the Coastal Piracy. Like in those scenarios, it's like, I might as well just like, am I really going to play friggin' Chaos Warp and Wild Magic Surge and that type thing? Like those always, like, they don't always feel bad, but a lot of times those end up, biting you in the butt because you flip something crazy off of them. And like, so I'd rather just play threats, I think, at that point, or play like redirect things or try to goad my opponent's threats into killing each other as opposed to actually just spot removing them.
Yeah, well, and especially if it's some sort of like long-term value engine, like a Coastal Piracy, if you just take away that person's life total, just kind of confiscate it, then that tends to work out pretty well as well.
Because player removal is removal.
True.
Exactly. That's
for sure. It's not a one size fits all sort of thing, but I'm saying like there are reasons to be running spot removal in certain types of decks. And even then, I think Chaos Warp in the deck is really funny. I like Chaos Warp a lot, even though sometimes it explodes you. That's part of what makes it a memorable, good design, in my opinion.
Yeah, the other benefits of spot removal, right, is like if you have a thing you want to play and your opponent has one thing that you don't want to play, obviously it is better to spot remove that rather than wipe and get rid of your own stuff. You'd have to be pretty low on like permanents you actually care about to run that many board wipes.
Or a lot of protection, which kind of brings me to a second thing about spot removal, which is like I count counter spells as kind of spot removal, right? Insofar as they're like 1-for-1 exchanges with things. But what I really enjoy about counter spells specifically, and what really highlights them is like some of the peak spot removal to me, is their versatility, being able to protect a game plan so much as it is able to disrupt one from across the table. I really enjoy any sort of removal spell that has this modality where it's able to do multiple things, not just remove. I'm curious if you guys have any examples of that. Maybe.
Oh, you're not going to say Thraben's Charm?
Well, I love Thraben Charm, but that thing's removal. You know what I mean? It doesn't do like multiple different.
Oh, does it not have a
like a counter
card?
spell? No. It's does damage equal to twice the number of creatures you control to target creature, destroy target enchantment, or exile any number of target player's graveyards. Like those 3 modes.
You're thinking of Simic Charm.
Maybe
Simic Charm
thinking of
is
Simic
buff,
Charm.
protect, or remove.
Yeah. Right. My bad. I'm getting all the charms confused.
Yeah, in Indoraptor, I play one that's, I think it's Tyvar Stand, I forget, but it's like green and then X, and then you can pump up a thing, and it also makes it indestructible. So that works pretty well with Indoraptor, where someone, like, oh, no blocks, I'll just, play
green fireball.
Yeah, destroy spell, and I'm like, psych, you're dead.
I want to move on a little bit. Let's push the removal topic a little further to removal engines, which I want to show you one. Maybe you should try in Ragavan. If you're looking for enchantment removal, here's an enchantment removal engine in mono red. Enchanter's Bane.
This card sucks.
Oh.
Red and 1 for an enchantment at the beginning of your end step. Target enchantment deals damage equal to its mana value to its controller unless they sacrifice it.
That is a lot of fun.
It triggers on end step, so you play it and immediately it'll work, and you're like, okay, Coastal Piracy stays in play, or you take 4 damage. And if you have any damage amplifiers, like a Torbrand, suddenly it's 6 damage. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good point. I do play some damage doublers in the deck, so that could be pretty solid.
This doesn't damage double. It doesn't work with it, right? Because target enchantment deals mana value equal to its controller.
Oh, the enchantment deals the damage. Oh, not Enchanter's Bane. All right, it doesn't work with damage
This
doublers.
card's even worse.
Whoops.
Yeah, see, the issue with this card is that it's neither a consistent way to deal damage to players, nor a consistent way to remove enchantments. So like in principle, it'll feel okay some games, but the fact that you have no guaranteed effect of it is kind of a problem. Like if there's a really big,
but what about Whimsy?
it's a little whimsical, but like it's not that whimsical.
Well, if I'm going for whimsy, my favorite 2 mana red enchantment would be Power Balance, because 80% of the time it does nothing. Probably more than 80%. It's like 99, probably 98% of the time it does nothing. And it triggers every single time. So one of my favorite things to do is I play it in Ragavan just for the heck of it, although I'm probably gonna take it out soon. But I'll play a card and be like, trigger. And they already know it's a land. I've flipped it 10 times already. But I'll be like, trigger. It's still a land. Because it doesn't shuffle itself or anything. So it just sits there.
If we want to talk
That's
about
awesome.
removal engines, we can talk about literal Satan, that being Goblin Bombardment. This card's evil and vile, and single-handedly made my estimation of Krosan Grip go through the roof. The split second on Krosan Grip, I was like, why am I paying 3 mana for a disenchant? It's for Goblin Bombardment. This card is evil.
Yep, that thing's gross.
It's pretty good, especially if you run Insurrection or something. This would go crazy, which I do. So I'll give this a try sometime maybe.
Oh yeah, steal and sack.
Your removal engines are interesting because I feel like that's a bigger points to most people than actually just like random pieces of removal, since it can feel like a lot of removal suddenly, maybe not just a Goblin Bombardment by itself, but in tandem with other cards. My favorite is Salvaging Station with Executioner's Capsule. That one's always fun.
Yeah, if you combine a Goblin Bombardment, of course, with a token generation thing, but my favorite, of course, is definitely going to be Forsaken Miner, that turns it into a black fireball where you committed a crime, so you get to pay a black. So long as you can pay 1 black each time, you can deal 1 damage to any target, which is ridiculously strong.
Yeah. I think a lot of people will assume immediately that board wipes are like the core of any control deck in EDH. They do tend to be an important thing, like if you're able to like land a mid-game board wipe to reestablish dominance. But I think getting removal engines is typically the bigger thing. Like if you can get like some sort of ephemerate loop going, or some other thing where you're creating like a token copy of a thing that removes something. If you do anything that's just repeatable, that will kind of really start to push the flow of the game in your favor.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to have enough literal card advantage to remove every threat your opponents are going to play, but there are ways to loop and create virtual card advantage and then have an infinite number of Doom Blades or whatever. I mean, that's the real way to play a control deck in Commanders, you need to set up one of these. And the more esoteric your removal engine, the worse your control deck.
See, in my worst control deck, I run Mimic Vat as like basis for my removal engine, and that still feels okay. Like it's kind of mana expensive, but that's all right.
That's not too bad. That's 3 mana. I think that's better than.
No. I'm sure you have much worse removal engines up your pocket, Con. I believe.
Just my favorite Dino DNA.
See, that card's also fine.
Yeah, because
I personally have never touched a removal engine in my life. I'm pure and wholesome and awesome. I don't have multiple decks built around removal engines. I would never do that.
We'll just have Yusuf put like a ghostly image of Basilisk Collar on screen.
I do love my Judith deck. In a way, Kudo Elish Norn is a removal engine as well.
Yeah,
in
that
some
counts.
sense, yeah. It's like a lockout.
Yeah.
How about you, Patrick? Any removal engines in your deck, or are you not that type of player?
Do you ever do like the red flickery stuff?
Not really. Like one of the things I like the least in Commander, which I mean, I don't knock anyone who does like it, but personally, I really don't like combo, and that feels kind of combo-y to me. So I generally don't really have anything like that. I mean, I think maybe there's been a few times where I've like recurred in Ragavan. I've recurred. What's that one? There's a creature that like it enters the battlefield and it steals an instant from an opponent's graveyard.
It's from Ixalan. It's the pirate.
Direfleet Daredevil.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, I've played that like back to back a few times to be a sort of engine, I guess. But
yeah, for me, I see like, oh, my favorite card in this deck is Direfleet Daredevil for this thing. I'm gonna run Jaxus the Troublemaker and make sure that I get it every single turn.
Yeah.
You know,
I played this great, really bad value engine in my mono red list, which is Clock of Omens and Goblin Charbelcher, without any way to remove all the lands from my deck. So it's a randomized one. Yeah. So Goblin Charbelcher is like you pay 3, you flip cards until you hit a land, and then it deals that much damage to something. Double that damage if you flipped a mountain. And the Clock of Omens lets me like untap it if I have multiple artifacts. So assuming I have like a bunch of artifacts and play enough mana, I could try to remove things a bunch by just flipping cards off the top of my deck. It didn't really work, but
You need a lot of mana for that, I imagine.
well, if you have Clock of Omens, if you have enough rando artifacts and like a Gilded Lotus, you can untap the Gilded Lotus and get like 3 activations. And if you're playing mostly mountains, you should probably kill
even a Worn
creature.
Power Stone plus some clues will get you pretty far.
Yeah.
Goblin Charbelcher is one of those cards I don't know if I've ever seen it point at anything other than a player. Honestly, I didn't even know this could point at anything other than players. It feels I've never seen anyone not combo with this card. You know what I mean?
that explains why I've never seen it before. I had never played combo.
The fair manual actual red Charbelcher is quite bad, but it's awesome.
I've seen it in my friend's Go-Go deck where he like fetches all the lands out of his deck and then he just like shoots you in the head with a Goblin Charbelcher after his library has no more lands in it.
How does he get all the lands out of his deck in mono red?
No, it's Go-Go, not mono red Go-Go, blue Go-Go. This is a beautiful example of why Universes Beyond should only have one of each character printed, by the way. The blue Go-Go that copies abilities.
Oh, Go-Go.
Main set
Master
Go-Go.
of Mimicry.
Yeah, the one that can copy fetch lands, so you fetch all the islands out of your deck, and then you go, okay, great.
I hate how many versions of each character there are. Okay, yes.
Agreed.
Okay.
I love Universes Beyond, but yeah, that is my core gripe with it is I want to just be able to say I have Leonardo in play, not Leonardo the 15th version of the same turtle.
Oh, it's worse too, because we actually have Leonardo da Vinci.
I tried to build that deck and it sucked, so I took it apart. It's just blue. 3 mana, you tap it, and you get a Thopter version of Artifact in your hand. It can be great,
right.
but I don't know. It just didn't work for me when I tried it. Even when I managed to copy like Portal of Hyrexia from my hand or something, it's still okay. Deal 1 damage to it.
Yeah, for any aspiring Charbelcher players out there, if you're in blue, you can play Mana Severance, which lets you remove every land from your deck. And then Charbelcher will let you flip your whole library and blow up a player. And then you also get to reorder your entire deck, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't put them on the bottom in a random order. It puts them in any order.
Oh.
So if all your lands are gone, you flip your whole deck and you reorganize it as well. And then you also kill a player.
There's a really cool deck one of my friends had, which was Elsha Belcher. So you could go Charbelcher someone with no lands in your library, and then you would immediately go, okay, great, I'm going to order my library any way I want and just free cast everything off the top with Elsha. Because they're all non-creature spells. You do mox, whatever.
That's funny. My buddy did a Rashmi Charbelcher, and then would just set up like a counterspell on the top so they could cantrip into it with the Rashmi.
Oh, evil. Yeah, I love Charbelcher as a funny deck, and especially modern. Modern Belcher is probably one of my favorite lists. That's like a combo list to play against. I've never played it myself, but it's a very fun matchup. I wanted to talk a little bit about this episode since we're talking about removal as a focus in a way. I really wanted to talk about more versatile, expensive removal versus cheaper, less versatile removal. And what like version of that do you guys typically lean towards for your spot removal? Are you typically more expensive and versatile, or are you more cheap and efficient, even though not as versatile?
Depends a lot on the deck, I think. Like if it's a kind of slower, more controlling deck, I'm typically going to be more okay with higher mana costs, better utility. Whereas if it's a kind of a faster, more cutthroat deck, I'll run cheaper ones, even some, kind of shitty free ones like foil.
Like I said, I really don't like Chaos Warp. So it does kind of depend on the deck for me, but I do really like modal spells. Like if it has like multiple options where I could remove a thing, destroy an artifact or do a thing. I do like those a lot. One of my favorites is it's from the D&D set. I think it's called You Find Some Prisoners or something like that.
Yeah, you come across some prisoners. You can exile the top 3.
You blow up an artifact or you rip the cards off of someone's deck, which is exactly what Ragavan already does. But I'm like, we're going to do more of that. So I don't know. I've had it a few times where someone is like, oh, I'm going to tutor Soul Ring to the top. I said, thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and steal that one with You Find Some Prisoners. And that always goes over great with the play group. They love that one.
In the same vein as that, I like the card You Find the Villain's Lair. It's blue 1 for counter target spell. So it is cancel, which is not super efficient, but it does also have draw 2, discard 2, which is a really nice like instant speed. I have 3 mana left over. I didn't need to counter anything. Let me just loot away real quick. It's a pretty sweet, like decent, like budget card for any like graveyard focused deck. I love flexibility. I think in casual EDH, flexibility is king. I would rather spend, 1 or 2 extra mana to have modality than be more mana efficient. Usually always. Like I'm a big fan of in my Boros control deck, I'm not playing Swords to Plowshares or Path to Exile. But I am playing Get Lost and Generous Gift because they're just, way more flexible. The things that it hits, is so much more. So I usually lean that way.
Yeah, I find very similarly to Snail's answer. I'm typically leaning a lot more slow or fast depending on the deck. Like if it's a slower deck, then I will typically run like the 3-drop removal spells like Soul Shatter or Generous Gift and stuff. But recently I've been taking Generous Gift and Beast Within out of my lists that like to play on curve. So like if I have like a bunch of 2 and 3 drops in a deck, I'll typically run 1 or 2 mana interaction in that list in order to allow myself to play a threat and then also hold up removal versus like a deck that's a lot more slow. I'm really just fine with passing the turn and holding up like a big value thing or a removal spell that's very big but more versatile. A quick follow-up question too, when it comes to deciding your guys' removal packages, how much do you find yourself tailoring your removal? I guess this one isn't for Trinket as much because you don't really have a play group, but do you tailor your removal for your play group?
I don't play that consistently with my play group anymore. Like I will sometimes, but it's not enough to be like a major consideration in my deck building. Back when I did, I definitely would to some extent. Like if I was expecting more enchantments during a particular period, I would definitely run more enchantment removal, and that just kind of makes sense. Like I definitely wouldn't go too far on it. Like I wouldn't shove my deck chock full of graveyard hate if I have a graveyard player in the group, but doing a little bit of tweaking is definitely a good idea.
Yeah, I don't know if I've put in removal for my play group. I've definitely thrown on a few like hate cards, like a few creatures or enchantments, or like one of my buddies would play landfall a lot, and so I threw in Sire of Stagnation into my Dimir deck. It's like, go ahead, dude, go play as many lands on your turn as you like, and that also usually doesn't work because they usually just kill the thing. But yeah, I don't know. I find like trying to make like those really niche perfect removal spells or even the super broad ones work in colors that don't have a lot of options tends to just get blown out a lot, where it's like, oh, I finally drew my Chaos Warp. Now I can get rid of his Glacial Chasm or his Maze's End or whatever. Like they're going to have one answer too. They're going to have one deflecting swat. They're going to have one, counter spell or something. And so a lot of times I feel like I'd rather just play the more efficient, but less versatile removal cards.
What about you, Elk?
Yeah, for me personally, it was like, there's some weird shit happening in Denver where everyone just loves touching the graveyard. It's legitimately insane. Like I think Valgavoth and Douthie Voidwalker are up there as one of the most like horrific stack species you can see under a board in Denver because everyone just loves their graveyard so much. So I've recently taken out a generous gift from my really go wide white decks and been replacing it with Thraben Charm, which of course just has the mode of exile any number of target players' graveyards, which has just like saved my ass so many times. It's unreal.
I think this is why I gravitate towards like really like broad removal, or I want my removal to be able to interact with as many card types as possible, is because since I'm just playing at like random game stores or at like conventions or whatever, and there's no consistency, I run into all sorts of random decks all the time. So it's just like, this one's aristocrats, this one's enchantments, this one's graveyard. So like if I don't have an answer to, everything randomly, like then I'll be stumbling around a lot. Which I want to bring this, I want to circle back to graveyard hate as well. Do you always, I know you do, Elk, but do you add graveyard hate? Because there's a lot of people that just say, why would I ever do that? Because, I'll just remove their threat with regular removal and graveyard hate doesn't, further my game plan. So why would I play it?
No, I usually end up packing a Boggart. What's it? Boggart guy. And
Boggart trawler. Boggart guy?
Yeah, Boggart. The Boggart. Come on. You know the Boggart guy. Yeah, that and Bajuka Bog. Basically all my decks are black, so those usually make it in. And then sometimes a lot more. In my Malfegor deck, I run like a silly number of graveyard hate cards, but that's just because I'm shoving so much in people's graveyards that I feel like I really should run. Yeah, I'm running 9 graveyard hate pieces in that deck.
Yeah, I don't know. I think my playgroup doesn't really play a ton of graveyard synergy stuff. So I don't know. It doesn't come up a ton. I have a CEDH deck that's Atali, and in that I'll play some of the isn't there like an evoke elemental that exiles or reshuffles someone's graveyard or something
Endurance.
like that? Yeah, there it is. Yeah, I play that one, and then there's that one Phyrexian mana instant that puts a card to the top of the deck. That's kind of a graveyard. It can be.
Yeah, Noxious Revival.
Yeah,
there it is. That can kind of be shenanigans at times, but yeah, that's about all I do, and that's only because that's the list that I found online when I was trying to get into CEDH. But yeah,
I think funny enough for CEDH, the endurance is also there. So for Thassa's Oracle, because if they have low devotion, just fill their deck back up with their graveyard.
Yeah,
that's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
Thinking of Thassa's Oracle, and I think we touched on it already a little bit, like hate cards being removal. But like Thassa's Oracle, there's like a small fraction of time where like Temple Bell was kicking around in like some fringe CEDH lists to like make people draw cards after they emptied their library, so they just couldn't do Thoracle. What kind of hate cards do you all run to like, slow your opponents down? Because in my mind, at least, hate cards are a way of removing things. It just kind of keeps them in hand or stops certain play patterns, right? It's still interaction in a way, rather. It's probably a better way.
Right, it buys you a couple of turns. Does Telepathy count as a hate card?
No, that card's just awful.
No, Telepathy's awesome. For the audience, Telepathy is 1 blue for an enchantment. Your opponents play with their hands revealed.
That's all it does.
That's it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, -1 card for nothing.
So that -1 card, this card is awesome. I've won so many games where they reveal their hand and then one person goes, that person has a combo in their hand, and they just get beat up.
That is pretty cool.
I don't know how many, I don't run too many hate cards. I think the only exception is like Humility in my control deck. Otherwise, I'm not playing like Hushbringer or like Torpor Orb in a random list.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of hard to do that.
Yeah, I agree.
Is it? I do it all the time. I'm evil.
Well, but like it shuts off my ETBs. Like I can't play Torpor Orb in my Tawanos list because then my Trinket Mage is turned off.
Yeah, I play Hushbringer and Saphara, specifically my flying deck, and I actually built all of the advantage engines, basically all of them anyway. Like I still have Welcoming Vampire that gets turned off because it's just so good in the games I don't draw Hushbringer, but like all my other card advantage engines aren't on ETBs. It's like the Monarchy and like things that trigger on attack and stuff like that. I don't know. I like building around hate cards that are symmetrical. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, the symmetrical ones are fun to build around. I agree with you. That's why I hate stupid Draneth Magistrate or whatever, just because it's one-sided. It's so boring.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned my Sire of Stagnation play before, and I kind of have gravitated away from doing that type of thing because I find it, if I draw it and they're not playing the exact deck that I put it in for, it's like, oh, okay, this is just a card. But yeah, I don't know. I guess the play that I mentioned earlier with the you find some prisoners or any of the like you exile the top of their deck and get to play it. That's sort of a hate because my playgroup plays a lot of tutors.
Top of library.
So
yeah.
Kind of, yes. I do play a lot of like, I don't know, like in the one black deck that I have a deck that's Gix, Yawgmoth Praetor. It has like, what is it? Opposition Agent. So
yeah,
I'll shut down your tutors. That's for sure.
What about you, Alex?
I don't really run specific hate pieces a whole lot. Like I'll have my Lesa deck includes a bit of like light stacks, not as much as it used to. I think it used to have a whole lot of stacks. And then I have other decks that have kind of much heavier control tools. My Malfagor has a bunch of discard. My Shroom deck has a lot of kind of ETB looping, removal engine type stuff. But broadly, I don't tend to run a whole lot of like turn shit off stack spaces particularly. I just prefer other stuff.
I find that in casual EDH, because you run into so many random things, they're not as like effective. Like I can play a Torpor Orb, or I can play an opposition agent in CDH because I am 100% certain my opponents are playing tutors. But it is funny that if I'm at like a random pod, I could play opposition agent and run into 3 tutor haters who just play none of them.
That's when you force them to tutor.
Well, yeah, then
Like hit them with the Path to Exile and stuff. I find the best way to remedy this problem of like, oh, I have a bunch of hate cards, but like they're kind of silver bullety, so I don't know if I'm going to run into the archetype that needs them, is just tutors, like flat out.
Yeah.
Like I like to think of most of my decks that I enjoy playing the most as like a really bad Noah's Ark where I just have one of each hate piece that I can go grab with the tutors in certain situations. And then they have like other use cases as well beyond being hate pieces as well. Like I really enjoy the fact, opposition agent and Aven Mind Sensor, the fact that I can use a Winds of Abandon, right? The overload Path to Exile alongside of it to make it like a truly one-sided Plague Wind versus using it like to finish a game, right? I like that it gives some cards in my deck new context, these hate pieces. It's really fun.
I've never seen that card before. That seems pretty good. It's like a
Winds of Abandon.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's quite good.
You should pick it very early in Vintage Cube if you ever end up picking one. It's like really good.
Well, there are also sometimes where like the blue player has a bunch of tokens, and I'm like, hey, buddy, you're not going to counter this. I know you. You're not going to counter this. You want those lands. And they're like, yeah, I want those lands.
Here's this then. How do you feel about political removal pieces? Now, this is something that I've mentioned. One of my favorite cards, a Blade Griff prototype. Blade Griff prototype is 5 mana for a 3/2 with flying. When it hits a player, that player chooses a non-land card that isn't mine and then blows it up. So via politics, this is a removal engine, right? Every single turn, as long as me and Patrick, agree on it, we can blow up anything every single turn. And there's a lot of other sort of like weird things like this where you can give your opponents the ability, like Dai-Chan Artful Beauty is another one that lets you, you and an opponent each pick a creature and then they get blown up. How do you feel about those that require your opponents to join in?
Yeah, I like the Will of the Council type removal cards. What's that one where everybody votes and then they get rid of the white card, I think?
Council's
Yeah,
Judgment.
that's the one.
Yes.
Yeah, that works pretty well.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of those. I think personally, I more like removal that is, instead of like everyone chooses and picks, I like ones that can be used politically. Like there's certain removal spells that give your opponents resources when you use them, and being able to go like, hey, do you want this like, whatever, like treat that comes with the removal spell? You probably want it more than your creature. Yeah, exactly. You can do like, there's a lot of gift a card removal spells and stuff like that. I'm having trouble thinking of one that like comes to mind immediately.
Long River's Pull.
Yeah, Long River's Pull. But like, I'm thinking like this is like my entire premise around my Farrakha deck, where like she's Grave Hate, but she's also able to use that politically to like give you a blocker if someone's attacking you with, say, a Ragavan, for instance.
So rude.
I'm a big fan of these because like they can often end up being way more removal, like card advantage wise. Like Dai-Chan Artful Beauty is, functionally can be tap, destroy 2 creatures, which is really good. And especially you're in red, you can give it haste, you can 1,000-Year Elixir or whatever and untap things. And if there are other threatening creatures, like it can be a 1/4 pretty easily, which is quite good. I think these will end up being very powerful if you can use them.
Do we have any more things to talk about with removal?
Yeah, any final thoughts on removal?
I like Cut to Ribbons. That card's sick.
Oh, it is cool. I like that one a lot too.
It's one that's an Aftermath card. Deals 4 damage for 2 mana as the first mode, and then in the graveyard, it's X2 black. You cast it and it makes each opponent lose X life.
Oh yeah, it's the split card, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Flame Slash, bad Flame Slash into bad Exsanguinate makes one really good card.
It's so good.
Do you run it in Malfagor?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It has ended multiple games.
Yeah. If we're gonna shout out like favorite removal spells of all time, mine's like Saw in Half. It's so funny.
Is that removal?
As a removal spell?
That's not a removal spell. No.
You're Ruhan,
No.
you're Ruhan, and of like whatever of the Fomori's coming at me, right? Your big 7-power thing. I can saw it in half. That's not your commander anymore, and it's not attacking anymore. It's a really bad fog. Think about it.
Oh wait, we should have talked about fogs.
Really? Do you think fogs are worth a mention?
Fog is
I don't
what?
know.
It's like the best card in the game right now, right? The One Ring. That's Fog.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
The One Ring is removal. Same thing.
A lot of people think fogs are removal, but they're not removal.
They're not removal. They're very good tempo plays, though.
Depends on what your removal's doing for you. If your removal's trying
Depends on what you mean by very good.
if your removal's trying to prevent you from losing, then the removal.
Yeah.
It's combat damage removal.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
We're gonna make like an alignment chart of the removal purist versus removal whatever guy. Anything goes.
Yeah. Oh no.
I'm the most anarchist removal
There you go.
guy.
Well, great. Now I need to open up like Photopea and make a new shit post based on that idea. Thank you. I'm yoinking that.
You're welcome.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. This is where we move on to the Beseech the Mirror section. This is where you beseech us for answers. All you got to do is put mirror in your comment and we'll maybe possibly get to it. Tebby Lemos asks, Mirror, I give Elk another hangover to ask, what's your least favorite color combination to build around? And if you had to build a deck for it, what would it look like? We can skip that second one if it's too convoluted, but do you have like a least favorite color combo?
I feel like that implies that I've built with all the color combos.
Have you not?
And no, I'm not one of those people. I have not.
Oh,
I
interesting.
know some people are the 32 deck questers, but I will never be.
I mean, it's not that I try to have 32 decks at once, but like, you know, I have built a never color combination at one point.
All of the 4-color ones?
Yeah. I think I've maybe done a deck with Salvaging Station as my hidden commander for, I think, every color combination or very close to that.
God damn. Okay. That's impressive. Apparently I'm the odd one out, I guess.
I'm far from having built every combo, but I can at least say like of the ones that I have built, I really didn't like doing Jeskai, actually. I built a Hinata deck and I just felt like, I don't know, your options for like mana fixing are, I think, probably the least of any of the tricolor combos. And it was basically just playing Izzet and then maybe a few other Boros things here and there. I don't know. I don't have a super sophisticated answer, but it's definitely the combo that I've had the least fun with.
I feel like for me, it's like mostly I have like a really hard time trying to find like a 3 or more color deck that really speaks to me. Once things start to open up past a certain degree, it does feel a little bit hard to like find my niche in a space. Like 5 colors, I have access to everything. It's like really hard to like find like that one like build path that like helps me narrow down what I want to do with a deck. It's like Niv Mizzet Supreme is like the perfect example of a 5-color commander for me, where it's like it's a 5-color commander, but it focuses on 2-color cards, right? That is something that's very fun to me. Whereas like most 3-color decks I end up building end up kind of like piles. I mean, like I love Cormella to death. It's my only 3-color deck, but even then she's kind of a pile of just big spells, which is like part of the appeal. But like, you know, I find myself it's very hard to like find like a narrow path that I want to follow of synergy in more than 2-color decks for me.
I think for me, it's the 4-color combos are the hardest because there's just not that many options. Like for the Sans White, there's only one non-partner option, which is Idris. We haven't gotten any others. And then you just have like those 4-color combos and it's like, they're all
never
kind
even
of
tried 4 colors. That always seemed pretty chaotic. I always just stick with almost all my decks are monocolored actually.
It's easier to
monocolor is great.
Yeah, you're hitting the colors every time. I would hope.
Yeah. I'm also just a big fan of the aesthetics of monocolor, you know what I
too.
mean? Like
Yeah.
the entire deck just has the exact same like frame. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
yes.
I also feel like there's something to be said about like the sort of choice paralysis that comes with the more colors that your deck is. It's like deck building gets a lot harder. Whereas, I don't know, when you're in monocolor, like any good card in monocolor feels like really exciting. Like whenever they print a new good mono white card, I'm like, oh, am I finally going to build a mono white deck? Here we go.
So jumping off on that, we have another perfect question here. Healthy002 asks, Mirror, I play my 4th Wrath this game and extend the duration to 9 hours to ask the question, what would you do to power up monocolor in EDH? Monocolor has like the inherent downside of, you know, lacking the other 4 colors, right? And in casual commander, you don't have like blood moon effects to punish multicolor decks. So monocolor decks are at a disadvantage. What would you do as a designer to improve that.
I've thought about this for literally 3 seconds before I said this. So,
Mhm.
but I would say you could make it so the hybrid mana rule is waived if you build monocolor. That could be kind of fun.
Only for monocolor.
Yeah, because that's like the main criticism, right? Is like, oh, well, sure, maybe you think that helps monocolor, but really helps everyone more than monocolor, right? But, well, you could just say, no, only monocolor gets it.
That's kind of a
Kind of like
crazy
that
idea.
compromise.
I like it.
I kind of like it too, but also like I do think hybrid should just be for everyone. But like still, I do enjoy that one quite a bit. I was also gonna say hybrid. I think hybrid just in general does help out monocolor more than the multicolored because it just like opens up more options for them more than like not necessarily because they'll get access to more cards, but they also like it's more beneficial to the smaller card pool to have access to more cards, right? Even though the multicolored do get more of them, right? The other thing I've always thought about is like I love the cards like not Convergence of Dominion. That's the really bad one.
Yeah, Staff of Domination.
Not
right?
Staff of Domination. Staff of Domination is the infinite combo card. Scepter of Eternal Glory. There you go. I got there eventually. Scepter of Eternal Glory, which says if you have 3 or more lands with the same name, it taps for 3 colored mana of your choice. So like calling out things that are only possible like that in a monocolor deck, or it's extremely difficult to do in a multicolor deck, really interests me. Cabal Stronghold's another really good example, right? Just like it's a callback to Cabal Coffers, but you can't use Urborg with it. It's only basic swamps work with it, right? So these things that like reward monocolor deck building without maybe going over the edge like a Great Merchant of Asphodel or something, right? Like I think there's enough design space where you're able to reward players for like sticking with one land type or having a certain number of pips of a certain color or controlling a certain number of colors of card without going completely overboard and making a Throne of Eldraine or something, right? Like one of these like extreme like chase cards that are just like shoe-ins for monocolor decks and don't have any synergy.
We could errata Soul Ring to make it so that if it's in a monocolor deck, it taps for colored mana.
You're thinking outside the box.
That would be crazy.
That would go wild. I kind of want to say more things that care about the number of X land type. Like, I like that Mystic Monastery?
Mystic Sanctuary?
The one that cares about
Yeah.
Mystic Sanctuary.
Yeah.
3 islands specifically. I think that's kind of fun because it is totally possible in another like a 2-color deck, especially a 2-color if it's just like splashing one of the colors. It is totally possible, but it does push you toward monocolor. I also wouldn't mind seeing, and the Tainted Lands like kind of suck, but like they also feel good if you're in a black splash something else deck. So I wouldn't mind seeing something else, maybe a little more powerful than those, but more things that are like encouraging fewer colors like that.
I just want to see more pips. I've said it before on this podcast, but if like Cyclonic Rift was septuple blue pips, nobody would be mad at the card because you really had to be like mono blue to like actually utilize it. I want more pips, more devotion cards. When's the last time we got a set that talks about devotion?
Theros.
Right, it was the last time we went to Theros.
Beyond Death.
It was like forever ago. Yeah, we can get some juiced up current year.
Give us some Gigantosaurs.
Yeah, like more Gigantosaurs. Yeah.
That's a good point.
Is Gigantosaur a real dinosaur? Can you confirm that for us, Patrick?
It's a great question, actually. It's interesting because it is, but it's very much the opposite of the dinosaur that's depicted on the card. A real Gigantosaurus, as far as I know, is a sauropod, a long neck dinosaur. So whereas this, like there's a dinosaur called Giganotosaurus, which looks almost exactly like Gigantosaurus in Magic. It's just massive theropod carnivorous dinosaur. So yeah, kind of a miss there on the design team from the paleontology perspective. But
they missed on a lot of the dinosaurs.
I love their dinosaur cards. I actually like my hot take, and this is something I've said online before, is that I think the way that Magic does like dinosaur names is way more realistic and like honest than the paleontology online community now talks about dinosaurs. And I could rant about this for 15 minutes, so stop me, please. But like right now, like if we always talk about dinosaurs using their scientific names, which is silly because we don't do that with any other creatures that are living. And so like those names weren't really designed. They weren't really like made for that purpose to be used in like general discourse and pop vernacular and that kind of thing. And so like what Magic did that I really like is they gave them all sort of like just common-ish names. They gave them all names that are just like adjective plus sort of noun, like non-Latinized names that like you could realistically like, oh, if this was a creature that was around a culture, they would call it that. as opposed to some random Latin word, you know?
I fucking love that with Imperiosaur. Like that's just such a cool name, and it's very evocative of like what these dinosaurs are used for.
Colossal Dreadmaw, fantastic name. We should call him that instead of Tyrannosaurus Rex. Like, Tyrannosaurus Rex is a goofy, like Latinized king lizard. Like that's a silly name. It's not a lizard, but anyway, I'll cut myself off there. But I do really appreciate Magic's dinosaur design space generally, with the exception being Giganotosaurus or Gigantosaurus.
I was gonna say I was so peeved when they did the secret layer. So they had Itali and they made Itali the Tyrannosaurus, and then they made Regisaur Alpha, which is very clearly like a T-Rex kind of thing, into the Spinosaur.
Yeah. I remember they gave like a reasonable explanation for why they did it that way with the whole like flipping cars and all that. But yeah, it's just like when you're already kind of anchored to this design for a creature, it's weird to just give it to a different one. Spinosaurus is my favorite dinosaur, and Atali Primal Conqueror is my favorite card artwork. So I would have really liked more on that.
I'm a little bit of a Triceratops enjoyer myself, sadly.
Oh, totally fair. There's a lot of great Triceratops cards in Magic. So.
Oh, yeah.
Did the original Regisaur Alpha have a little bit of hair as well? I love that.
Yes, it does.
It's got its feathers.
Yeah, no, they're feathery on Ixalan.
Good.
Oh, it's feathers right now for
Yeah, like Hulking Raptor probably has one of my favorite like feathered dinosaur looking arts.
Yeah, that is a cool one.
Yeah.
Everyone in the comments, put your favorite dinosaur in the comments.
Did they have feathers?
Did they have feathers? Definitely. Most of them anyway. The biggest ones would probably have had really little feathers, in the same way that like elephants have really like hard to see hairs. And it's a similar concept. Like the really big things don't really need insulation just because their body mass does that for them. But yeah, the little ones, absolutely.
Great.
I'm glad at the end of the podcast we got to Tierzoo's actual expertise.
Yeah.
There you go. It's coming through. I managed to get you guys there.
Yeah. Speaking of ending the podcast, do you know how we typically do that around here, Tierzoo?
Please enlighten me.